everyone. I am very pleased to welcome Phil Brown today, CEO of Clearstream Banking. Hello, Phil.
Good morning.
Good morning. Today, we are here to celebrate the 10 years anniversary of the Federation for Recruitment in Luxembourg. So thank you very much in advance for answering my questions.
It's my pleasure.
I thought that you are the ideal person actually to answer my questions about the transformation of Luxembourg over the 10 next years to understand your vision about Luxembourg in the coming years. So let's be honest on the situation right now.
Yeah.
And if you have some concrete actions to propose, we'd be pleased to listen to them.
Sure.
Let's start with tokenization. How would you describe tokenization in a few words, and what do you expect for tokenization to change the finance world in the coming years?
Okay, so the easiest way I suppose to describe tokenization is you take any asset, you create a digital form of it, you take the real asset and put it in a box to keep it secure, and you let people trade or own the digital form. And that obviously brings advantages because often if you have a physical asset like gold, which is very difficult to transport, with a token you can move it digitally. So that's at the heart of it, what tokenization is. It brings a lot of advantages to, for example, to an investor when we're talking about financial services. Yeah. It means that you can move the ownership very easily, you can move the ownership very quickly, it's a secure environment, and you can do a lot of other things with it. And one of the things that's key to it is it will start to bring the experience, especially for a retail investor, in their investing world that they have in the rest of their world. So, you know, the next generation is very accustomed to streaming their music or streaming their videos and having that instant gratification. And what we start to experience now is them wanting that same experience when they're investing. And what tokenization will do is enable that next generation of investors to have that same experience, that gamified experience of investing.
Okay, interesting. And if we focus on Luxembourg, how do you see Luxembourg now as a real innovation hub, actually? Do you think that we are here already? And what do we miss to be even more competitive as an international innovation hub?
Well, I think Luxembourg's done a lot of really great things. So you've got institutions like the Loft, which has really been there to encourage startups to come to Luxembourg and establish themselves here. And it's really important to have that ecosystem, that not just a single company, but to have the right-minded people all together to generate that kind of innovative mindset. So Luxembourg's done really well in that regard. I'd say the second thing that Luxembourg has done really well, it's really embraced this change to digitization and tokenization. Was a very early adopter of the digital securities laws. We're now into the fourth blockchain law in Luxembourg, which has been constantly adapting over the last few years as the use of blockchain has changed and the needs of the investors for blockchain products has changed. So I think that's been really good. And obviously Luxembourg has a great regulatory environment. It's a business-friendly regulatory environment, but it's also very focused on investor protection. So I think it has all of the components. And if you think about where the kind of tech hubs are, they tend to congregate. So, you know, London has a very strong tech hub, Berlin has a very strong tech hub, obviously Silicon Valley has a very strong tech hub. Luxembourg has the opportunity now to be another one of those tech hubs. And it's done all the right things. I think there are some more things that we can do.
Yeah, so I'm so interesting to listen for them because I think that we have lots of ambitions, but there are also obstacles and there are probably things that are slowing down our ambition to be where we want to be. So what would you propose? What do you have in mind in terms of concrete actions?
So I think that Luxembourg, first of all, it has a reputation as a financial services centre. So it has an attraction in that regard, but its global branding is not strong enough. I mean, I think that, you know, when I came to Luxembourg some 20 years ago, I didn't really know anything about the place. And
really?
As a youngster thinking about where I want to, you know, progress my career, certainly in financial services, you think about New York and London, or now Paris in Europe, if you think about how well Paris has done. So how does Luxembourg do more for its branding? Yeah. Because when you actually arrive here, it's a terrific place to live. It's a much different place to the one that I came to 20 years ago as well. I mean, the people are different, the population is different, it's incredibly international, we need to promote that.
Yes.
I think that obviously the big issue, and it won't surprise anybody that's watching to hear this, is the cost of housing here. So when you're starting out in your career and you don't have very much money, that housing cost is really brutal here. And I know the government are doing things to try and resolve that, but I think that needs to be accelerated.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is that we need to make sure that we are attracting the right talent, because we've been very focused on people with fund accounting and transfer agency skills and that kind of thing. And we need now to really attract people with digital skills.
Exactly. So this is my question. So
Yeah.
we all know that talents are a key point actually to accelerate our innovation and to be recognized as a real international hub again for connectivity and innovation. So what would you advise actually to be even more attractive for talents? Because as you said, when we touch real technical skills, people do not even think about Luxembourg. So how can we make them think about Luxembourg, and how can we retain them in Luxembourg? Because sometimes we attract people, but they leave very quickly. So what would be your advice for that?
Yeah, and I think, look, our experience at Clearstream is that we have a higher turnover of people that just joined us.
Yeah.
And when people have been here for 5 years, they don't leave. So kind of figuring out what's causing that rift between short-termers and longer-termers is important. And I think housing is one of them, as I said earlier. I think when you're a youngster starting out in your career, one of the most critical things you think about is, where is this going to take me to?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Luxembourg needs to give some thought to how it sells the career progression of an early career in Luxembourg. So if I come to Luxembourg and I'm digitally native and I want to work in fintech, where's that going to take me to? What skills am I going to develop? What contacts am I going to make? Am I going to build the right network? And am I going to have the right branding on my CV?
Yeah.
So I think that's critically important. But I also think that we don't do enough to promote all the great things about the place. You know, one of the things we found during COVID was, in the big cities, it was really hard to get young people to come back to work after the work from home. And the principal reason was they were paying so much for their transportation. And it consumed such a large amount of their income. We have a free public transportation system in Luxembourg. It's an incredible benefit. And therefore, I think, thinking about things like that, the transport is free, selling that, the fact that it's a wildly international population. You know, more than 50% of the population of the country is not Luxembourgish. So you really are in a global melting pot when you're here. It's a very safe place. And I know maybe that's not super attractive to young people, but they are quite conservative these days, the young people. So those kind of things do attract them. So I would really focus on what are the 5 or 6 really positive things about developing a career in Luxembourg, and brand ourselves and market ourselves around those 5 or 6 things.
We also talk a lot about being an ambassador ourselves for Luxembourg. Do you have any ideas in order to promote Luxembourg, maybe more with a real individual example of career path?
For me personally?
Yeah, for instance.
Look, I think that one of the things I've enjoyed about being here is you know, the proximity to government has been really important. You know, you get to really, and I'm genuinely interested in the geopolitical environment. Getting close to people who are in senior government positions, it's impossible. Like here, it's very possible. So that's been very cool for me. But that's really talking about somebody at a further advanced stage of their career.
Yeah, but it means that for you, in a way, Luxembourg can be a real career accelerator, isn't it?
Yes, and I think that, you know, one of the things that somebody entering financial services will say is, I need to work in New York or London. We need to get Luxembourg branded in the same way.
Exactly.
I think if you want to work in the funds industry, it's definitely a place where you can have it on your CV and say, I've got Luxembourg experience, because it's very, very valuable. We have to think about how we do that for digital as well. And I think the right steps are in place now, but we really need to get the talent that's coming in that's digitally native. We need leaders in the country who understand what it means to be a digital organization. And we really need to encourage speed, because what's happening now, the world's becoming super competitive around this topic. Since the US brought the Genius Act in last year, it's accelerated this use of stablecoin. Now we've got 300 billion now in stablecoin. It's going to go to 3 trillion by 2030. Europe needs to move really quickly, and Luxembourg, I know, is pushing that, but needs to push harder to say, if we don't move quickly, we'll get left behind.
Yeah. It's true. Maybe a last question for you, Phil. If you have to choose one word to describe your Luxembourg, your ideal Luxembourg of the future, what would it be?
Interconnected.
Interconnected. An example?
Well, Luxembourg is, you know, we for Clearstream here, we connect clients in 110 countries to 60 markets that they invest in, and they use this as their hub. Luxembourg is already interconnected. So for financial services, it already is a global hub. We need to think about how we make it a global hub for digital services as well. And we have that opportunity now.
Good. Thank you so much, Phil, for being here with us today. It's always great to listen to
Pleasure.
you. And I will remember from your message that Luxembourg is definitely a real career accelerator in the fund industry, and that we can even be more competitive if we are more interconnected. Thank you so much.